episode 1. I would lie and say it's take 1, but it's take 3. And DZ brought the clapboard, so we had to use it. I love it when people, even around the production, are like elevating on their own level. It means great things for the show. Welcome back to POPcast 2021. And we are here with a different cast member. We'll get to you, Kazi, and your beautiful hair. Yeah, I mean? But you like, we used to you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting in the middle this time, balancing the ladies. This is Aziza, guys. If you don't know, she has a show on Massive Metro, an avid music lover. But I'll let her speak for herself. The floor is yours, lady.
The floor is mine. My name is Aziza. They call me the pristine queen on the streets. Love hip-hop, love music, and love everything about the culture. And let's see what happens today.
Sure. How do you feel about being on the show?
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Were you watching the show before or heard about it?
I think it's very, very dope to see how it all comes together now. You only ever see the finished product.
Sure.
And when you get a chance to see how it comes together, who does what, it's pretty, pretty dope.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
I'm still here.
No problem. It's a pleasure, man. Well, we'll say it's a pleasure after we hear what you have to say about things. We don't expect nice comments, but we expect real content. Right now, Cousin.
What's up, Sia? Good to see you. How's the new 2021 air treating you?
2021, man, you just gotta be safe.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you feel wary about saying you're good, but with all the bad things that have happened, it has brought one, if you are using it properly, and I think I have, to a good place, you know? So I'm amidst everything, I really feel the most strongest I've ever been. No secret, because at your weakest time, you are your most strongest. And this is the weakest I think the world has ever been.
Yo, definitely been the weakest. But I think what's important is also for us to kind of see which direction we're taking. I think 2020 also kind of taught us how to prepare. So I am hoping a lot of people went into 2021 thinking forward and saying, okay, how am I going to deal with this year if it's similar to 2020? So that's my mindset. I'm also just trying to, you know, get myself into a positive space, trying to look good so I can feel good so we can...
Had to drop the look good in there.
Because I mean...
Had to just drop the look good
Because, you know, we're out here.
It looks amazing.
We're trying to be fresh.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Thank you so much.
I wish you would have kept that. She had a leather jacket on. She was looking like Catwoman. Coming to audition for Catwoman. She should have kept it on, I say.
I still think you look good. I still think you look good.
Straight up.
And you remind me of how I feel about 2020 going into 2021. So I feel like 2021 is 2020. She's just wearing a different wig.
Yes, you got yourself to know her.
Dude, you hit it on the head.
Because I feel like not much has changed. You were saying just now, you know, last year was about planning and hopefully people are kind of getting it together, preparing themselves. But I feel like if you didn't get it right last year, you still got this year because it really does still feel the same.
For sure.
A lot of things are not normal.
In some cases, I feel like it's even worse.
Yeah.
You know, in some cases.
In some cases.
I don't know. Like, I mean, deaths, for starters, you know.
Yes.
Last year, the COVID hit people away from a lot of like close contact. Whereas towards December and second wave, it really started coming closer to home.
That's true.
You know? So in that case, it's bad. Hearing also like everything start from being spoken about the vaccine. When COVID started, the conspiracy in inverted commas of a vaccine and this is to push a vaccine, blah, 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 blah. Then 2021, this thing is fully being activated.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, there was some truth to what was being spoken. And I don't want to speak badly about the vaccine, but it's just crazy to see how the world, I feel like, is changing right in front of our eyes. Like the old thing has fallen away and we are really going deeper and deeper in what seems to be a new world.
Yeah, it's crazy how we've had to adjust. It's crazy how we've had to change our mindsets. Especially from just even a global perspective, whether we're traveling, whether we are interacting with different people, how we have to now look after ourselves, because I think a lot of people have had to relook at their hygiene and be like, okay, am I really washing my hands or am I just, you know,
a lot of
going
people
under
only
the
started
water?
washing their hands during COVID.
That's true.
So, but I mean, look.
Including me.
But look, I think think it's given us some good habits, and it's also gotten us a little bit more aware about how the world is changing and how we need to adapt to that as well. So just to kind of clear the air and try to figure out exactly what's happening, because we do have the pristine queen with us today. VG isn't completely gone. He's just taking a break. He's got, obviously, his plate is a little bit full. So what we have kind of decided is just to kind of, each week bring in a fresh voice to kind of see how they're feeling about the game as it stands. And obviously then when VG is available back to us, then he'll be back in the game. So it's not all lost. Don't worry. He's just taking, he's just handling his business.
I hate to open it up on a dampening note. But we have to address, we're talking about COVID being closer to home, Wandi of Lokshan culture, a hip-hop aficionado that we've lost from music all the way to clothing.
True.
Wandi was one of the originators of Lokshan culture. He had an awesome gig back in the day at Moyo. At Melrose
He used to do that with
Analog
Refilwe.
Nights with Refilwe. And he was working at Soweto TV. So I don't think we have had the show when we talked about it, right? So you guys can go on and embellish.
Look, COVID has definitely taken away some soldiers from us, which is it's one of those things that it makes you realize how close to home this thing is. Because sometimes you look at it from a distance and see people reporting certain things on TV or on radio or on newspapers. And once it starts hitting people that you've known personally, it starts to damn, we really need to pay attention. DJ Wandi, he had a radio show slot on KFM as well. And he was just one of those guys who was all about the culture from when he was young with Lokshan culture, created this huge brand, South African local, where we needed to be proud about South African hip hop culture. And I think at the time it was also one of the first that were actually to come out for SA to actually support a local brand, as it were. And I just think it's such a loss, man. Obviously, my personal relationship with him was from a music perspective, obviously from a DJing, as well as an eventing perspective. But it's just sad because he was such a humble soul. But yeah, we've lost a soldier.
I think it's always crazy when you finally realize that the last time you saw somebody was the last time that you'll ever see them. The last time I saw DJ Wandi was at the Beatmakers Market last year. He was one of the judges for the freestyles or the competition that they were having there. And I think when I got the news, I was like, wow, that is the last time that I saw that person. Very happy, giving a lot of information and advice to people that were in the space. So that for me was a little bit sobering. It's exactly what you were saying just now, Ms. Cosmo, about how, when COVID first hit, it was something that was so there. It was far away. And I think everybody at some point in time thought that it'll never hit close to home. It'll never happen to me. I'll never have, any kind of direct link to it. And then people that start getting sick. And then people that you love in your personal space start getting sick and getting hospitalized. And then people pass away. So it's incredibly, incredibly scary. And it's incredibly sad. And just condolences to everybody who has been affected in that way.
And not to just keep going down this road, but it's important for people that have played a role in constructing this house that we now all live in safely and are sheltered from a lot of things, which is hip hop. It's a platform for hip hop. We need to pay our respects to these people. Nish from Squatter Camp is also another victim. I'm not sure if it was COVID.
It was COVID.
Was it COVID?
Yeah.
Damn.
So I saw a statement that they put out that he had been hospitalized as a result of COVID, and he was fighting, and then he just didn't make it.
That's the 2-time SAMA award-winning group member, Squatter Camp. They were having a reality show that they were shooting.
They were finishing off their album.
They were finishing off an album. And he's also sadly taken away from us. So if family Anishi, we're with you guys. And anyone out there who is not famous or is not well known for being in the entertainment industry, if you have suffered a loss, man, we're with you. We're riding with you. I, for one, being in Joburg, didn't see this thing. Only heard about it in the news. I only really saw this thing when I went home. Epai.
Really?
Went to PE, and the amount of funerals you see on my dude, in a week, 8. In a week.
That's
scary. So that was for me was damn, this thing is big in the outskirts. Being in the city, I didn't get to experience it that much.
Really?
But Port Elizabeth was shattering, man. It was shattering.
I have a different experience. I know a lot of people personally who got sick, and there's nothing as scary as that. Just because, it's like flu. You don't know how it's going to impact your body personally or each person, So people very, very close to me, people's parents that are close to me. And, once someone hits the hospital, that's when you get really, really scared because now they need this help, but you just don't know how the body is going to react to even some of the treatments that they're giving them. And all you do is worry.
Sure.
That's literally all you do. You worry, you pray, and you just hope that they don't become a part of the statistics. So even though I was here in Joburg, I got uncomfortably close to it as well. Yeah.
Sure. Cause you want to add anything before we close this?
No, I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, I just think it's important for us to just realize how serious it is and for us to just, stay safe. I think those are the important things, Sanitize, wear the mask. I know sometimes it feels like you're the Popeye in the room who's wearing a mask. But hey, that could be what saves you from actually catching this thing. So rather be a Popeye and be alive than be,
Guys, we are at the Black Brick today. It's in Sandton on Friedman Drive. Am I right?
Yep. 25.
Yeah, it is
It's a hotel.
and
hotels.
And apartments.
And apartments. There we go. It's got a lot of amenities. I mean, just reading off the list, we've got a rooftop boma, meditation garden, outdoor yoga, boxing gym, cinema, library, workspaces. I know you're already asking how much this place costs. We won't have the price for you, but we do have the space for you. And then we have meeting rooms, restaurant, concierge, dining room, members lounge, and a bike station. Black Brick Friedman, it's hotels and apartments. It really, really is a dope space. So that's what we're shooting from today. It's one of their conference rooms at the bottom of the spot.
Yeah.
And we've got Trevor Stearman Photography right on our right.
Yeah,
so
there's beautiful art in here. And I like that they keep with the concept. It's black even inside. Yeah. And it gives you a good feel. And there's the boxing room. I think we should go, you and I, so we can work on our...
Just the one. Just young Jabiana.
Yeah, so if the fight doesn't happen, AKA and Cassper, we'll meet here at the Black Brick.
Just in case you can't get the dough,
I would like to start with last year, December. Let me say that we did our last show, and I think we forgot to mention some people, or I did personally. And I even recorded something for DZ. It didn't make it. But I wanted to talk about last year and seeing House Java and everything that has happened to him, the way he finished last year and how he's actually carrying on to this year with his project, Umsebenzi, who's doing amazingly well on the RAM chart. Sure. People are really supporting him. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. You guys can add and embellish as you wish.
Mm-hmm. I had spoken to Java sometime in December as well about his brand new label, 1020 Cartel. Mm-hmm. I love the energy that he's putting into those new kids and the fact that he's trying to push them so much. And what I love the most, and I know it's a very weird thing to say, but how when an artist signs other artists, you always expect them to be inside and say, yeah, okay, featuring Java on all 15 tracks. Java is nowhere to be found on that EP for 1020 Cartel. And I think he did that intentionally because he just wants them to have the platform and for them to shine, but he's using his power to push these kids. Yeah. And I love that so much because it also just shows that he believes in their talent much more than he believes in his cosign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice one. Believes in their talent much more than he believes in his cosign. Thanks. That is dope.
I like the fact, I think everybody likes a comeback story.
Yeah.
It's what you were saying just now about how he's been through so much. And I think that in any industry, when you're going through something that hectic and that difficult, it's easy to just nail and just be like, well, I'm done with this. Mm-hmm. I don't need this kind of drama. I don't need this coming at me and this kind of negativity. But to see how he's turned everything around and the music that he's making as well, I think it's very inspirational to see how somebody can embody perseverance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, with the game, we have all these different spices, and he, with his sound, is coming to add on the spice of the sound that is already existing, that Ambitious has mastered, that he has carved out when he was at that label. Moving on forward, another dude that was relentless with just impressing us and still is right now, Focalistic. Man.
Yo, Focalistic is
Focalistic,
taking
man.
over.
He's so gone.
No, Focalistic.
Like as I was watching his social media this past week and how he was engaging in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Tanzania. There was some time this past week where he literally flew back to SA for a shoot. He was here for a day, had to go back to Kenya. Like he's literally on his like grind, and I love it so much. It's so dope.
I love Focalistic's story. I remember I met Focalistic years ago, and he was still like pushing raps heavy at that point in time. And I could never have thought that this is what his story would become, you know. But I love the fact that you can see that he's still kind of the same person, you know. He's very appreciative of all the blessings that he's gotten, and he's very dedicated to what he's doing. But you can see that he hasn't been changed by all the success. He still loves his hometown heavy as well. So big congratulations to him.
Big ups, man. I just think he's doing something amazing. I also get that vibe, like he's still the same dude. And I think not pursuing hip hop has aided him in keeping some of himself. You know, a lot happens with the hip hop artists because of the rhymes you put out or the persona that you put out. And it doesn't seem to travel with every other genre. It doesn't happen with house. If you look at like a Master KG, who also deserves some major fucking appreciation.
Yeah.
Huge.
I'm not mad at artists who've existed at all. I just like the fact that there are different types of stars emerging. There are different types of attitudes and vibes of stars where guys don't feel like they have to be constantly at your face or in your face to feel like they're doing well. You know what I'm saying? Master KG is doing amazing. And like, I'm not even well versed on this dude, but I just cannot get over the fact that he deserves so much more than what he's getting from this country.
100%. And I think, like you're mentioning with Focalistic and him still keeping an element of himself, what I also noticed was, I mean, obviously we can hear that a lot of his sound is obviously very piano influenced, but I like the fact that he's also still like, yo, man, I'm still a rapper at the end of the day. Like he posted a freestyle the other day on the socials, like, yo, I can still do this thing. Whether you like it or not, I can still jump on a hip hop beat, but obviously, this is the route that I'm taking and the direction I'm going. And it's working for him. I mean, look, like I said, he's traveling throughout the entire continent, which again, for me, is very big because I really feel as though sometimes South African artists can be a little held back with regards to exploring the continent. And I like that he's taking that jump and he's running with it, especially just to kind of open up South Africans to seeing what else is out there. Because everybody always wants to go straight to America. They want to go to the UK. But what about what's right here? What about our, like Kenya? Like he's going to Tanzania. He's going to go to Ghana soon. You know what I mean? He was mingling with Davido on his social media as well. So hopefully a song is going to come from that. You know what I mean? And then it's going to take him to the next level.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, which has been great to see in the midst of COVID, is how artists have sort of kept their fans engaged with their content or have doubled up, tripled up on lateral business moves. We've talked about Mega last year. You know, he had the club, he had the talk show. We've talked about Gully China, who had the talk show, you know. And now Stogie T joins that realm with a show called Freestyle Fridays. It's not just going to be the rapping element of the show. It's also going to be a guest interview element of the show. It's happening. I don't know when it's going to air. It will be on Channel O. I think that's really dope, you know? When guys can use whatever they've amassed in terms of like power to make something else happen.
I remember when Freestyle Friday first started, it was early last year. I think it was March-ish. And he would just drop a freestyle on his own on a Friday. And then to see it grow week by week. And then he started putting on all these different people from here, people from different countries, people from the States, people from Ghana. And to see it be that big, I knew every Friday at around like 9 a.m., the first freestyle would drop. And almost every hour on the hour, there was a new one. And then on a Friday night at around between 5 and 7, then he'd have this like open audition type thing on IG Live. And all you had to do was be quick with your fingers and hit him up and say, yo, I want to spit. And the lesser known people would go on there and they'd spit. And then you'd see them on the roster a week or so later.
I got to know a lot of new names.
Right.
Which
through
were some
him.
of your favorite freestyles actually from the...
Zulu Mecca still stays with me a lot. Okani from Cape Town sticks with me a lot. It's crazy how I don't remember like a lot of dudes' names, but there were a lot of guys that just really floored me too, you know? I just cannot remember their names. And it's crazy how I only remember the ladies. Okani and Zulu Mecca really did it for me.
For me, I don't know why, but it was... well, I have been a fan of his for a long time, but just that freestyle kind of still sticks with me is Envey's freestyle.
I was going to say the same.
Fair too. I think
Envey's
I think I
freestyle.
watched his video like maybe over 10 times. I was like, yeah. I know. Shout outs to Pitori, man.
Stilo Makolite was also a shocker.
Right.
Was also a shock. Reason was a shocker. Like he went in.
Yes, because Reasons one was so personal.
Very personal.
And I don't think anybody expected that. I think people kind of, you know, with Freestyle Friday just became synonymous with like super hard raps, but Reason came in and took a very, very personal approach. And I remember I was like, whoa, that's literally, it felt like I was reading a page out of his diary.
Yeah, for real.
But I think that's what made it so powerful. I really enjoyed Envey's one as well. I remember Utwilemo Texing or something and was shooting in the streets.
Yeah.
Almost like it was nothing. And he was like, yeah, I'm done.
It was very flawless.
It was almost like, oh, now, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
But they have that thing, the Pitoli boys.
Hey.
Even, you know, they have the Blacklist, Aries, they have that thing. Like they do it so often that it's like breathing to them.
Right, and I also enjoyed Captain's one as well, Captain FS.
Captain.
So I enjoyed Captain's, I enjoyed Envey's. I also enjoyed Yugen Blackrock's one as well. Yeah, so it was really incredible to see, and now to have it be a TV show. I want to see what they're going to do differently that's going to keep.
And I think it's dope as well that, you know, because especially at a time where we're all also kind of looking at hip hop and saying, okay, which direction is hip hop taking? It's nice to see that there's still that interest, there's still that element where TV isn't completely just kind of like saying, okay, let's just run with this piano thing and hip hop must take a backseat. Right. We're still kind of taking over a bit of space, which is what I'm appreciating. So shout out to Stogie T, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of new gigs getting gotten on TV, one thing that I'm very happy to also talk about that has transpired is Vinny getting a job on MTV Base.
Yeah, Uncle Vinny.
So when I I don't know. It's fine. It's all right. You know, I'm just glad because when I was speaking about him, I always felt like being that young and just being in parties so young might kind of like fuck shit up too early for the kid. And I wanted him to be in other more constructive spaces and getting skills, which is why I'm very happy that he's gotten this job. So he is going to learn a rapport with the camera, grow a character that's for the camera, learn to read auto cue, you know, and these are skills that will help him. And the earlier he gets it, the better he can get at one skill and the more quicker he can go jump on the other. Yeah. So I'm very happy about that. And obviously shout out to corporates like MTV because he's barely 20. If 19, he's 18 years old. You don't know what this does for a young kid.
True.
It does amazing things for a young kid. I'll definitely testify to that. So when people sit in these positions and are able to like just open up a door for this kid to do different things and be in different spaces and learn about his industry a bit more, I'm all for it. So shout outs to you, Vinny. Let's see how you grow in this atmosphere.
I think also speaking about TV opportunities and things that developed, I thought it was really, really interesting and cool to see how the likes of your Kuli Chanas and your Nadia Nakais made those kinds of inroads for themselves with their personal shows and their personal entities as well. It was very, very interesting because I think that sometimes you don't necessarily expect an artist to venture off in that kind of direction. You're so used to boxing them into, I'm going to see them at this gig, I'm going to hear them on this, I'm going to see them on music videos, but then to see them kind of stepping into executive producers and creating the spaces and the kinds of shows that I feel like they would have wanted to be invited onto. And now they're creating that for other artists. I think that was really, really dope with them as well.
All right, so we're going to move on to our next topic. And Kozi, I think you're well equipped for this next one.
Back in the
Just as I thought I was going to be a passenger, you know, driver in the direction.
No, but so, you know, I'll just, you know.
All right, so I think this is one of the things that we've spoken about heavily last year. And we've obviously gone back and forth about, okay, is this thing happening? Is it not happening? Are they signing? Are they not signing? And recent developments have also come up that possibly the fight might not happen.
Yeah.
So Cassper and AKA was supposed to have signed their contracts. They were supposed to be in the ring and planning for 2021, where they'll be inside the Ticket Pro Dome. And it just seems as though it's just not coming together. How are you guys feeling about that? Because I think there was so much anticipation built up around it that we're like, okay, finally, this thing is going to rock. And maybe now we might just not have it. And I'm sad because as much as I understand how like awkward it is, I still feel like we need it. maybe I'm being too controversial, but I'm just like, maybe we just need this thing to just, they will just punch each other's away. I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about it because they're going to punch each other and then what? Beef over? Or is it going to carry on then after? Because now somebody's going to be hurt because they didn't win.
Look, that was the risk they were willing to take regardless. Because when they agreed to fight, they knew that's what they were giving up.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, you already know what you're giving up by getting into this conversation. So why not just finish it?
I'm not sure. I'm not
you
sure.
guys are being
I think
too
there are
nice,
so
man.
many. There are so many variables. I'm just not sure. I personally don't know if I want to see that.
Yeah.
So you never
I was like you before.
You didn't want to see the fight at all.
I was indifferent. It was like for me. It's like okay, and then what? So Bato Murana, and then I think I was just interested to see who would knock who out in the end. I think that's the big thing for everybody. It's like yo, because for me it's like. You know, for instance, there was a time where they were putting up their bodies up against each other and they were like, so-and-so's legs are like this. No, but so-and-so's arms are like this. So, so there was that. And it was like, physically, this one's got this one. But I was like, okay, but what about training? So somebody can physically naturally be bigger and stronger than you, right? Let's say me and you, if we had to get into the ring. I'm bigger than you as far as build. But you could be training harder. You know, you could be healthier than I am. You probably are. You could be healthier than I am. Or you could just know how to give a good punch. So for me, it was like, okay, it could go to anybody. And it would be interesting to see how it would happen. But I think beyond that, I was like, oh my God, are they going to sign? Is it going to happen? I was just like, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And we'll talk about it and we'll see what happens.
I feel you on that. I was with you in the beginning where I was like, I feel like I'm being influenced to think so primal, like so Roman gladiator time days, you know? Then I was like, actually, I just want to see who's going to fuck who up. After all the talk.
That's all I want to see.
After all the talk, because people have been talking and talking and talking, I'm like, okay, like, and I also want to see how whoever loses is going to deal with the humility.
That's also what I want to see.
Like, because it's the only thing that is going to bring one of them or both of them down to size or whatever, you know? Right. It would be nice to see them in that uncomfortable space because we've seen them so many times in this one where they're so head sure and so sure of themselves. Both of them, you know? So I would have loved to see one of them just have to deal with the fact that you got to just eat the humble pie. Like, how does AKA deal with that? How does Cassper deal with that? Exactly. Like, I would have just loved to... And also, on an entertainment basis, how many avenues of money-making there would have been for them as artists and how it would have just propelled entertainment in the country would have been crazy. Like the financial gains of how they market each other, there'll be athletic companies and shoe companies involved. Right. There'd be all sorts of things, the gowns, the music, you know, the training, the every day on the AK app or the Vodacom app, Cassper would have an app where you would watch them train for the event. These are all monetary ways, obviously blueprinted from Mayweather. Yeah. You understand? These are the ways that I was thinking about the shit. And then you have the interviews. Then you have the commentators. I mean, it would have been crazy. And it would have been a chance for everybody who suffered during COVID to make the money back. And then the Betway and all of them would be making the dough as well.
Right. So financially, okay, from a business perspective, now that you've broken it down, I suppose that makes sense. Do you think from a cultural perspective, do you think that it would have started a trend and now it's the thing for if you have issues with somebody, let's take it to the ring. And now it's a precedent.
You
that's
know
been
what?
set.
At some point, sometimes in life, there has to be one person who kind of starts a trend.
Right.
And if they're the ones who start the trend, then and other people will surely follow because they feel like, oh, this is the direction we need to take. I just don't know if it's going to work with anybody else because the culture hasn't been invested in any other beef as hectically as that, number one. Personally, as Scoop was saying, I just want to see it from an entertainment perspective. I'm not choosing sides. I'm just like, yo, I just want to see how this thing's going to play out. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm game for. Look, it's not completely off the cards. What I've seen on social media is that contracts haven't been signed, they haven't been finalized. It's looking a little shaky right now. But as you've mentioned, there's so many other worlds of avenues that they could explore, which could make this thing so much bigger. And maybe also we just want to just nip. It's that final closure that I think everybody wants for this beef. Because we're all tired of the beef.
But we just
want
to get
the
on
closure.
Twitter and
We
have
just
the
want the
picture going,
closure. Just
yeah,
okay,
I'm Shappy. You know South Africa. They want to laugh on Twitter. You taking away so much from SA.
So I don't know. I think honestly, just from an entertainment perspective, I really want to see it. But you know what? I don't know. We'll see what kind of pans out. You know.
Yeah. What were you asked? What was the original question again?
If we were going to see this
would it set a precedent?
For this is how it gets sorted out. Like,
I think that's a good question.
Should there be future beefs that we will get invested in? Like you were saying, there hasn't been one that we have really been invested in.
Yeah.
But in the future, is it one of those things like, okay, well, the only way to sort it out is like this?
I feel you. I feel like in America, that's happened, right? And I'm not mad at that because imagine if Pac and Biggie had a fight rather than gunfight. We'd probably still have them here, right? One. So and we like to follow, whether we like to admit it or not, we follow. Secondly, I was listening to some people conversating and they were talking about two guys that got into a fight in a club that ended up having a fight on Facebook Live. But these are just normal guys.
Okay.
So already people are taking that avenue already.
Right.
So I think knowing Johannesburg, I'm not sure about South Africa as a whole, but knowing Johannesburg and how much they like to duplicate the process that has worked in America, I'm definitely sure it would have been something that niggas.
Yeah, it probably will create a precedent, but I just think it's gonna get a bit messy with other people. Yeah. I think with these two, they've learned how to make it professional because of from a business perspective. They've chosen how to. That's why there's a contract at the end of the day, is to keep it professional. I think anybody else who tries to dive into that direction might make it a little bit messy. So I wouldn't encourage it, but. Yeah, this one I'm encouraging.
Okay. I'm interested. Before we close it up, I'm interested. If someone had to call you out for a fight, a boxing match like that, someone who's got an issue with you, are you saying yes?
I have never fought in my life.
Never.
I've never taken a punch to the face. I have never punched anybody in the face. That goes for man and definitely for sure a lady. So personally, no. The only reason I would fight is if you trouble my son or my family. I probably won't even fight, like, we killing you. But other than that, I've never had a need to fight.
I wouldn't, purely because I'm a coward. I'm also just one of those, like, I'm here. You know those girls who are there? And then when they say, I'm like, oh. And then I hit a left. So reality speaking, I'm flights. I'm not for fights.
We're not?
But yeah.
Look, I'm a combination of the two of you. So because I'm pretty slick at the mouth, I've never had anybody put hands on me. And I'm not about to start now.
I know.
But don't come at us just because we don't want to fight.
Just because we've given up our weaknesses, don't come for us. Also, just to touch on something positive as well, the music that would also drop this past week. Yeah. We did see a surprise drop from A. Reese.
Yeah.
Because I know the A. Reese
the whole time.
The A. Reese fans have just been like, yo, you guys never talk about him. Don't worry, we're waiting for the music. The music is now here. He gave us a surprise drop, obviously just preluding to his album that's going to be coming out real soon. It's not titled Paradise 2. Would have thunk it, but it's okay because we want the music nonetheless. Yeah. And I'm quite keen to actually hear the full body of work, and I'm digging it so far.
Yeah, he's taken out some songs that have been really dope. He's kept his audience engaged. I don't know what you mean with we didn't talk about him. We talked about him in the last episode when we said like we needed an album.
Yeah. But the drop happened after our last episode.
The drop happened after the last episode.
Yeah.
So I love that song, To My Bitch, For My Bitch. I think that was really dope. I actually took a chance, even and listened to the full project. It's hard to listen to full projects, guys. You know, I'm really like a senior person. You understand? I'm a senior person. I'm not ashamed.
Dala.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed of that. Like, you guys make getting old like to be a bad thing. No, I am very much comfortable with where I am and how old I'm getting, which also makes me comfortable saying that sometimes listening to your projects, maybe you don't make your projects for me. I want to be honest while I sit on this chair and say that I'm changing in so many ways, that a lot of your hip hop content isn't for me. And I am glad that there are new kids coming up so they can talk about the shit you guys are talking about in a way that relates to them. Because to be honest with you, personally, I can't relate to 90% of dudes making some music right now in the hip hop space. It takes a long time to latch on to somebody.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And I just want to be honest about that. So if you feel like maybe sometimes the thrill of Scoop talking about hip hop that existed in the past is not there, that's because you're right. It just really isn't. But the love of music and the love of culture is still there. I'm just glad I got that out. I was wondering how I would get that out on the podcast in a very nice way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Somebody else who also just dropped a new song, which I was hoping would come with the album, but clearly we still have to wait for the album. He did mention it's going to drop in March, is MT's album. So the song Itemba dropped this past week as well. That's off of Logan. So he did mention that confirmed it's going to come in March. He also dropped a really awesome collaboration with Amifaku called Lala Ngokolo.
Yeah,
Beautiful song.
Beautiful song.
And MT's got this thing where he's got this power where he can still be like super cool, like trapper, hectic hip-hop rapper,
But
and then
sensitive
just
at
be
the same
like
time.
emotional
Yes.
and just be like, oh my gosh, let's
Yes.
just see the sensitive side. And there's so much power in that because you have to be a real musician to get that out.
When I heard Itamba, I was like, this is a beautiful, perfectly timed song because it speaks about not losing hope. And I think that there are a lot of people, not just in the industry, that need something to hold on to.
Yeah.
And no matter how difficult things get, we can always go back to music to kind of find some solace, you know? And that's what I loved about Itemba. I thought it was really, really beautiful. It feels good when you're listening to it as well. It feels like this is not the end, just keep going and that things will turn around. So I really, really enjoyed that particular one.
Yeah, shout outs. And I think that's also what helps MT resonate through the rest of the country is because he makes the music, but he also thinks about the fact that it's not just him, it's not just rap, it's not just hip hop. And that's why he transcends into different types of people as well. And he definitely touches a chord, you know what I mean? So big up
That's true.
MC for that one.
That's true. Sorry, I think it's special to be able to do that because you can teach somebody technical skills. You can teach somebody how to approach certain things. But I remember I was having this conversation, I think years ago with Shabzy Medallion. And when he said, you can't teach people how to make other people feel.
Yeah.
And so the fact that MT has been able to do that is incredibly special, especially during a time where people feel so hopeless and so lost. Just that thing, you know, it's either you can do it or you can't. So, because you can't teach someone, I can't teach you to make her cry, kind of thing. And to be able to resonate with people, like you're saying, in that way is incredibly special.
I think he's going to have an awesome run, especially in his independence. He's doing well. Shout outs to MT.
Speaking of independence, another one who just jumped out the bag on his joints is Big Hash. He just came back, said he's done with Internet Wave. And I'm happy about these things because I think sometimes we might be too hard on these youngins because we just expect so much excellence and we feel like they shouldn't make mistakes or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm also glad that they're making the mistakes at an early stage. But I'm also more happy that they are correcting the mistakes that they are making. So shout outs to Big Hash, man. You know, done with Internet Wave. I don't know what under which management he's with now, but he's released some songs as well. They've done really well with streaming and people have taken onto him again. And he's always been talented. It's just everything else around him and inside his head has been the problem. But I did speak to him. He seems like he's in a good place. So I'm just also excited to see what he's going to come up with.
Also with Big Hash, he's also got that sensey thing about him.
does.
He's also got that comes out, like he can spit,
Right.
But then also then he can then say, okay, let me be the emo kid that I need to be. And I like that switch up because it makes me feel like there's more to you than just a 16.
There is a girl that Slicker showed me. Siyabonga Metana. He showed me this girl. She sings piano, but she...
I saw her on...
Taya.
Yes, Tyler. Taylor, I think it is Tyler, yeah.
Damn, we must get it right. We have to.
It's Tyla, I think.
Ne?
Yeah, she dropped a piano track, yeah.
But this piano song is... She, first of all, is an amazingly looking person. Curly hair, you know. No, man. Obviously, this comes to play because you have to sell.
Yes.
No, you like to do that, which undercuts my message. You do it all the time. So,
and I'm joking.
Yeah, but I mean, people don't know that, you know? Okay. So she's easy to sell. Then she's 19. Then she's doing this amapiano music, but she's given it a poppy Ariana Grande feel.
Yeah.
Down to the video. The video, it looks like...
It's super Ariana.
Yo!
Fully. Tyler, that's how you spell. I just checked it now.
Ne?
Tyla. Go and check her out on social media.
This girl is going to bring some crazy attention to this genre that is already... She's going to bring some crazy... That's all I want to say. Like, she's really...
Do you know what? She makes me remember the time when we all just accepted Babes. And you know, like Babes was this phenomenon. We were just like, how when's like, okay, she's done, okay, this is interesting. But for her, like you're saying, because she's got this new like sound as well and this new look and feel and very like relatable to like kids, I think she's meshed it up so well because pop is a very huge genre, but so is piano. And to kind of then get that right, that balance right.
Right.
Bunche also introduced me to another lady. Her name is Filala. Have you guys heard about it or?
No.
Filala. She also is kind of dope. Have you? Dizzy's nodding. Guys, Dizzy should be sending me this text. How do you feel about her? You like? She's really, really dope. She's had an international kind of like upbringing, but she's in SA now. She sings. She's really, really cool. In her 20s. I think she's 24. Also one you should check out. Another big thing that was a huge like whoa for me. This guy is like too anointed. He just keeps winning and winning and winning. And I can understand because for a long time, I don't think people also recognized him and what a force he is right now. Black Coffee streaming 100 million of his Subconsciously before it even went on sale, yo. Like...
That's incredible.
I mean, you know, incredible. Like, I think he wins so much outside of music that people, I don't know how people, I think people are just like, yo, we're not even going to talk about this nigga. Because it's just too much. But like, yeah, from business, investing into tech startup companies to buying and controlling catalog of South Africa through Gallo, restaurants, it just keeps rolling over and over and over, you know?
Yeah.
So shout outs for that.
Shout outs to Black Coffee. And of course, just to also kind of give a love as well from an international perspective. Coming to America 2 trailer has dropped and obviously our sister Nomzamo is out there. But somebody else who's also out there is Makhathini. Yes. Featured dressed Eddie Murphy. You obviously see the what is it? It's like a sweater.
It's a cardigan.
Sleeveless cardigan. Sleeveless cardigan when they're on the golf course. It's amazing. I just want to give a shout out to the Makhathini team because they're definitely putting in a lot of work, man. And it's nice to see that the world is paying attention to South Africa to such detail that even to the fashion designers as well as the actors are also featured on that movie.
Yeah, that was one of the designs of his like original jerseys that he made when he was still in school. And it's crazy that Eddie Murphy chose to wear that, but I thought that was major as well. Shout outs to all the designers, Tebe Magugu, you know, that line he just put out with Castle Light was pretty impressive. Yeah. I must admit, that was impressive. You know, Richie Mnisi obviously doing his thing, Lukhanyo Madingi. There's just an explosion of creativity coming out of the country.
Yo, that Richie Mnisi that actually trended this past week about the Shibelani. And everyone was just like, wow, would I spend so much? But for him, he's understanding that he's creating African luxury. And I don't think people understand that if you're willing to pay that amount of money for a Chanel or a Louis Vuitton, why wouldn't you be able to then invest that much in one of your own? Because he's also creating this luxury brand that we should be investing in, being able to see what heights he could actually reach with that brand. So I think, you know what, reach to the top, Rich, we're with you. You know?
I think it's also just about valuing yourself. I think we wait so long for other people to say, okay, this is what you are worth. This is the realm that you should kind of be playing in. But you teach people how to treat you. And if you value what you're doing, also, we don't know what it took to make that garment. We don't know what fabrics, there's overheads. There are things that need to come into play as well. And it reminds me of Nipsey Hussle, with his album that he was like $100. Right. And it was like, whoa, who do you think you are? Now look how we love Nipsey Hussle, just because he valued himself as well.
For sure, I'm with that. And I also want to just speak on the part that just like, I want to emphasize it, if you're going to be in this space of entertainment or like products or whatever, you're really going to have to be thick-skinned, and you're really going to have to be like bold. Now, Orange are the first guys to do this. It's obviously going to create a trend, not a trend, but it's going to create a precedent where kids feel like, oh, I can charge this much for my goods. And it's not only reserved for Italian kids or French kids or any other country's kids. So that, for starters, is great. And that's the things that he's going to face, Nola Duma being the first. Secondly, just like in music, South Africa like bashes their excellence. And they only take heed of it when those people are start chilling with the people they look up to, like a focalistic Davido. Right. It happens in this country all the time, you understand? So you have to understand the psychology of the people of this country as well, and not put it on them, just put it on their psychology. And just like in SA, you must understand that you might be hated here. You gotta be okay with being big elsewhere. And that's going to be fine. Because Rich understands, in a country that doesn't value themselves and their culture, they will never understand why this skirt has to be 60 grand. That's fine. But to a New Yorker, and that's his market.
Yeah.
He's not selling just for you. So sorry, South Africans, for thinking that you're more important than what you think you are. Sometimes you're just that. You're just at the bottom of the fucking map. And really, we're not making shit for you because your taste levels are not there. Not just your taste levels, sometimes your financial means are not there. And that doesn't mean now you must disrespect me because I'm looking elsewhere and I'm looking to some people that can buy my 50,000 Rand art or my 60,000 Rand skirt. Some shit is just not made for you. It might come from you, but it's not made for you.
Yeah. And I don't think it's exploited either. People mustn't really go off of that, no, he's exploiting African culture, right. These things are cheap. Nah, at the end of the day, he's also creating African culture, but also just making it that much more taking it to the next level. I think that's what we need to kind of look at and seeing how we can progress what we have grown up with and taking it to better levels.
If people in Japan never took sushi out, would you and your so-called future-thinking, woke people still be eating it as a reference of how cool you are if Japanese didn't export that culture out? Yeah? If every other place, France, didn't export perfumes or whatever it is that any other culture derived, if they didn't export their cultural ish out, it wouldn't be seen as valuable. And they wouldn't be seen as that culture in the world. So yes, we must take our shit, and that's what we must export. Just like Mamu Esther Mahlangu exported the Ndebele paintings. UmaXhosa noLaduma export the Xhosa beadwork. Umnisi is exporting his culture. That's exactly what we must do. Because what you guys are so comfortable doing is adopting and then wanting to export back to the people you adopted from, which is kind of like useless. I'm done.
There you have it. That's episode 1. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do join us again next week. The Pristine Queen, thank you so much for joining us on the episode for this week.
Appreciate it.
And I hope you enjoyed her as well. Please let us know where we can follow you on social media.
She popped off with some names like I was like, we do need like someone on the outskirts to come through. She popped off with the far left name, which is what's necessary.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really did enjoy myself. You can find me on @QueenAziza on all platforms.
Sure. Spell the Aziza. Is it A-Z-E-E or I?
Okay, because that's the thing for me, by the way. It's 3 Zs.
Okay, you see.
It's 3 Zs. It's A-Z-I-Z-Z-A-R. It's not A-Z-Z. I always say to people, how do you count? Do you count 2-1 or 1-2? 1 Z, then 2.
Sure.
Nice.
Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't leave me! Okay, leave me.